Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is week 2 of CHCYTH013. This is part 1. I'm sending out 2 recordings this week. Part 1 is just a very brief overview of the skills assessment. You can see I've got the porthole up here in front of us. And this is coming from our live class. And you already have a pre-recording for this, and you have your learner's guide. And this is to give you some guidance around task 2 and task 3. In our other recording that's going to be sent out to everybody, there's some learners who are going to be doing their role plays. Some will do the role plays from task 2, and some will do the role plays from task 3. Task 1, of course, is a quiz with lots of questions and answers, which you'll get that information out of your learner's guide and by going through your slides and watching the pre-recording and a little bit of research of your own to be able to read the question and explore it. First of all, go into your porthole, and here I'm going to show you just task 1, saying an error has occurred. Just see if I can open that up. Okay, so there's 17 questions in task 1. There's 3 assessments, task 1, task 2, and task 3. So the very first question here for task 2, which is, this is what the assessor marks you on. It's what we're looking for. So there's 17 points, and it says, during the role play, I observed the candidate demonstrate the following. So engage effectively with the young person to develop and maintain trust and build rapport. So that's what we're marking you on. Your work is to read the scenario to understand what they're looking for. So we assess you on 17 different points in your role plays. So, to feel relaxed and comfortable. We don't want you working from scripts. We want you to have read it and understood it. So point 8, it's asking for to seek feedback from the young person upon the conclusion of the first meeting. So that's part A. And then, of course, we move into part B. So at the end of it, we want to hear you go. So, thanks for coming in. And let me just do a summary of things that you're going to do and things that I'm going to do and when we're going to catch up next. And then we've got some ideas about their priority. So their priority coming into this is a young person who is looking for emergency crisis accommodation. But then also a priority for them is independent living skills, going to complete their education, maybe getting a job, finding their social group to mix with. We want to summarize that. I want to hear that you've checked in with that young person and you validated and acknowledged what they've been through, and you're giving them that hope and healing in the future. That's what this one is. This is engage respectfully with young people in task 2. So you can see up the top here, it's got T2B. B is for us, B is for the assessor. And when I'm doing a live role play, I'm going through these steps here. Did I watch the learner demonstrate this? Discuss with the young person your role. So I work, and you give the worker's name that you're assigned, and then the rights that they come in. You've got the right to choose, the right privacy and confidentiality. And there's a little bit of conflict in this one, which we want you to manage that conflict as well, just to make sure there's no imbalance of power, yours with the young person, and then the young person wanting to step over that healthy professional boundary. We need to see you demonstrate that as well. How do you know what you need to do in your role plays? It's in your instructions. So let me take you there. So I'll just, when you go into your portal, sorry, it says my session has expired. When you go into your portal, you should be able to see all of the resources that it has there for us. Sorry. I think it expired while we were in classes. Let me just log back in again. And I'll come over to our assessments. Just and our spot again. Great. So task, you can see at the bottom, task 1 is the online quiz, and then task 2 is the role play. So as you go into that space, you'll open it up. You will have instructions. It'll give you an overview. Make sure that you go in there first. And here is your link to First Access. That's your simulated workplace environment. It will give you the policies and procedures around privacy and confidentiality, the boundaries, your duty of care as a worker. So your studies include your pre-recording, your learner's guide. You get a copy of the slides that are in the pre-recording. Access to First Access, which is your organisation, as if you were working in the sector already. There is your link there, and it gives you your username, which is Hayter Institute, and your password, Hayter123456. Now, that is where you will get, if you're struggling with answers, I don't know where or how to find that, get familiar walking around that website. Go to the homepage, have a look at the staffing levels, the information, go macro, so go bigger picture, walk around it, and then all the different services that you provide if you were a worker at First Access, because all of your role plays you are. And you're simulating a workplace environment. We're asking you to be that worker, and we give you the client scenario and give you a story about a young person or the family. So the getting to know a young person is part A. So part A for you is, here are your instructions. And then this one in task 2 is followed by a part B. So part A is your role play instructions are there, and it talks to you about a young guy by the name of Dario. It says the role can be played by another learner in your class, so your peers from class, or a family member or a friend, but they need to read the instructions. They need to find out about the client and what Dario is going through, and authentically bring that into the space. When you record it, both of you will be on the screen at all times. We need to watch your non-verbal, what you are doing when the person playing the client is playing that as well. So you'll go in and look at your code of ethics in First Access. You will look at the Child Safety Code of Conduct, privacy and confidentiality policy and procedures in there. The policy and procedure around code of conduct, intervention and behaviour support policy and procedure, and child safeguarding policy and procedure. How will you approach Dario? What will you say to Dario? What are the things that you must report to your line manager? there as well. Says you need a device, internet, and some video software. So you can have a free Zoom account for 40 minutes. This is a 15-minute role play for part A and a 15-minute role play for part B. I would open one up and give yourself that 15 minutes in case you want to pause it and jump in, but the clock keeps ticking. So just make sure that you're well organized and planned beforehand. But your second take on it, you might like. Otherwise, just open up another one and you get another 40 minutes. But it says 15 minutes. The minimum we would accept would be 10. But you'll need the full 15. So here it gives you the story about Dario being 16. He's been homeschooled, very sheltered life, raised by a very religious family where his parents were the pastors at the church. And then his parents also educated him at home. So there's a lot about Dario that has, you know, a very small worldview, but he's also maybe doesn't have some of those innate being able to assess a risk, and comes in having experienced something which has been really difficult for him for a young person, and he's found his way through the door to come to First Access, and he's seeking accommodation, and you will engage respectfully with him. The goal is not only to help him find somewhere to stay, but it's to be respectful and that trauma-informed care approach that you will. It talks here about he recently met a kind-hearted woman who noticed that he was upset and asked him what was wrong. And he confided in her and she immediately offered help. She introduced Dario to you, a First Access youth worker. So sleeping rough and on the streets, a member from the local community said, why don't you go to these people? They're really good. You're those people. That's who Dario is going to come and see. So think about what you need to be doing there. Here it says during the role play, the assessor will be looking to see that you can engage effectively with the young person to develop and maintain trust and build rapport, and treat the young person as an individual, considering in all decisions and actions. So it's a very collaborative space. How does that sound? What might that be like? What does support feel like for you? So we'll explore that. Consider their stage of development, their cultural background, any issues that they're currently facing that's impacting them, their own perspectives on what their view is, what's that like for you, and then youth culture and subcultures, and then changing your communication to meet their needs. So I'm looking for that. And your active listening skills, open-ended questioning that's appropriate to gather more information and show Dario that you've listened. So you paraphrase some of that back. So that sounds really tough, and acknowledge how hard it is to seek help. And the rest of it is the framework around that we're looking for. So that moves you out of part A. That's the initial meet and greet and assessment. Part B is you are still the worker, the youth worker, but you've got a follow-up meeting 2 days later to help with the current situation and prepare for the meeting. You must first fully read the scenario. Very important that you come to your role plays prepared. So your scenario here, it's been 2 days since you met with Dario, and in your recordings, we're going to show you some of those as well. So you'll find your instructions for task 2 and task 3 in your assessment portal. So do task 1, because that'll give you some underpinning knowledge. And then task 2 and task 3 are your skills. So you will pick up some tips around doing role plays by watching your peers in class. Stay tuned. We have the second recording coming. So this will come to you, our Cert IV in Youth Work class, where it will be week 2. And then, of course, next week, will be week 3, which will be our last week for this unit before we move into our next unit, a brand new unit. So we've already had 2 weeks in this space, and we're about to head into our final week, week 3. So while I said, we've got a second part that's going to be role plays conducted by learners who will be doing some task 2 and some task 3. Stay tuned.